Grand Rising. And thank you for joining me this morning. We will be starting in about 3 minutes. And I'm just looking for my show promo here. We are talking about abortions today and miscarriages and soul ties. So, we've all got a story. What's your story? You know anybody that's had an abortion? Well, today we want to talk about that to eliminate some of the shame associated with that. Starting in 2 minutes. No, I didn't mean to do that.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China,
Ni hao.
In India, namaste.
Namaste.
In Japan,
Konnichiwa.
In Korea, annyeonghaseyo. In
Annyeonghaseyo.
Russia, здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
In Germany, guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
In Poland, Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
In France, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Spain, hola.
Hola.
In Italy, ciao.
Ciao.
In Egypt, hasta luego.
Assim,
In
moça.
Ghana, akwaba. In
Aquaba.
Nigeria, paleo. In South Africa, sawubona. In
Sabona.
Senegal, nangade.
Tangade.
In Kenya, jambo.
I'm
In
live,
Israel,
Tony.
Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan,
So this is what you do when you got an ignorant ass husband.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with those of faith for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, the Female Solution. Monday, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit SelvaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/terrestrial coach, Selva Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moments with us today. Stay on purpose, stay empowered. Stay tuned to the next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Selva Speaks. Make it a mindful day. Thanks for listening.
Grand Rising. And thank you so much for joining us here today on the Female Solution. Welcome to Monday Morning Mindfulness on blogtalkradio.com, Female Solution. Higher Learning with Zelda Speaks. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, Monday, March 15th. I wish it was May. Here in the US of A. Happy Earth Day, birthday, born day, if you're celebrating your nuptial today. Belated happy birthday to Miss Doris DeShazu. That is the mother of Troy Tyler. And you may know Troy Tyler from V103 radio here in Chicago, where once upon a time when we were both on that station, she would read daily inspiration from my book, Inspirational Conversations, 365 Days of Empowerment. And now she is the program director at Chicago State University. So hi, Ms. DeShazu. Thank you so much for birthing a beautiful daughter. And happy Women's History Month. And it was also my girlfriend's birthday, LaDonna Tittle, your Tittle in the middle. Her, Doris and Tittle. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to call her Doris. Miss DeShazu and LaDonna share the same birthday. And many people have the same birthday. So happy Earth Day, birthday, born day. Today's your birthday. And a special prayer to the essential workers and those who are on the front line during this pandemic. It's been a year now. And it has been a challenging year. It has been a year of learning. And the question I always ask is, what did we learn from this experience? I learned so much. It would take up too much time on the show to tell you. So I'll just tell you in bits and pieces as the show progresses. And I ask you, and I know we all have loved ones in the family who are ill and not doing well. So I am asking your prayer today for my cousin. She's just like my sister. We grew up together. Her name is Hattie Frierson. So please keep Hattie Frierson and the Frierson family in your prayers because it is needed. And we thank you in advance because we know what the power of prayer can do, don't we? Yes, we do. And speaking of the power of prayer and the spoken word, it's time to lay aside the shame and the blame and the guilt. Today we're talking about abortions and miscarriages and soul ties with doula. You know what a doula is? Well, you're going to find out. And our Friday host, Vieta Robinson, is a doula. So she'll come on and tell you a little bit about that. So I'll be joined by her and Naima Latif in the 7:30 hour. So what's going on in the news? If you are listening to the news, you probably need to turn it off and go within just for today, because we need to connect with the spirit that is within us, that always guides us, guards us, and directs us. And sometimes we have to tune out to the programs because we're being fed information that is not always the truth. So we have to close it out and tune into the spirit that is within, that will always guide us, guard us, and direct us. So I'm asking you to do that today, not for me, but for yourself. If you're joining us online, we'd love to have you. If you'd like to call in after the 7:30 hour at 515-605-9325, press 1 to speak. If you're on YouTube, so are we, and we are on the Higher Learning TV show. That's our channel. So when you see that logo in the background, HLN, you'll know you're at the right place. Same one here, Higher Learning TV show. And we're on Facebook.com, HLN TV show, as well as my page, Zelda Speaks, on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, it's Zelda Speaks, the number 2 and the letter U. So Zelda Speaks to you. And be sure and join us on Pixely.com, Pixeoly. It is a new social media site from the Women's Media Group, and you deserve to be on it. And you deserve to be a part of Her Story. That's Women's Her Story Month, because it is designed and operated by the feminine spirit. So thank you for joining that, as well as thank you for checking out my blog, zeldaspeaks.wordpress.com. You'll hear my thoughts other than here, because I'm a writer. I was a writer first before I was a speaker. You know, you got to crawl before you can walk, so that's what I do. If you are a person, you've heard me talk before about pain. It's part of the aging process because of the foods that we eat. So I have a variety of things for pain. And if you've noticed, we're not doing the Higher Learning hip roll this morning because I got down on the floor and did my hip roll and got my Healy. And you can go to my site and see all of that too. All of that information is available at zeldaspeaks.com, as well as for information on pain and inflammation of the joints and arthritis. That's at zelda.now.site. And I will include that information later. But if you are a person that appreciates food that is not plastic, that comes from the grocery store, anything outside of the vegetable fruit aisle, it's all processed. And that's why we have all these issues, because of the processed food we're eating. So now I've started a couple of months ago my garden in home, and as you can see, this is a result of some of it. So go to zeldarobinson.towergarden.com, and you'll see what's available for you and how you can have your own garden at home. So you'll know where your food comes from. So that's zeldarobinson.towergarden.com. And everybody who knows me knows I was a diabetic. So check out diabeticdonut.com, because we all know somebody who knows somebody who's a diabetic or on their way. Diabetes run in my family because of the food that we ate. My brother died from it. My sister passed from it. I'm like, oh, no, not good. Can't do that. So I have a drink called my diabetes detox. Apple, beet, cucumber, lemon, ginger, kale. Doesn't sound that great. Doesn't taste that great, but it sure feels good not to be a diabetic and have to get a limb cut off. Like they tried to cut my sister's legs off, and she was like, oh no, honey, I'm dying with these legs. And she did too. Anyway, long story short, take care of yourself, especially if you're going out today. And I have a doctor's appointment later, so it feels like 16 degrees outside. It is cold. Winter weather advisory. Feels like winter again. 1 to 3 inches of snow and rain today. Ugh, don't I wish I was in Hawaii, Florida, Jamaica, anywhere warm. Winds gusting up to 35 miles an hour. You can hear it out the window. Yep, that's why it feels like 16 degrees. Only in the mid 30s today, up to 37. No, as we take a look at traffic and weather, which is sponsored by Karen Kelly of itex.com, ITEX, which is for entrepreneurs and business owners. If you're not one, you're missing out. Where you can buy products and services that you use every single day. Everything that you can think of, you can get it at iTex, and it's available. And you get a $100 sign-up bonus just for signing up and using the promo code Zelda, Zelda. Thank you, Richard McGee, always giving thanks to the ancestors of radio. Rich McGee, Herb Kent, the cool gent. I know y'all miss Herb. I know I do, because there's nothing like a Sunday morning, a Saturday morning with Herb Kent. Anyway, he's on to greater. They're on to greater pastures. And speaking of pastures, there's no grass around here. It's just cold, and it's just traffic, and it's just a hot mess. Inbound on the Kennedy is 36 minutes. Outbound is 34, and the Eden's inbound 25, 21 outbound. As we take a look at the Eisenhower, it's tapping on the brakes from Mannheim in. It's 45 inbound, 41 on the reverse. On the Stevenson, 30 in, 27 on the reverse. On the Dan Ryan, 15 in and 14 out. On the Bishop Ford and Lakeshore Drive, it is 11 minutes in both directions. And at Jackson, northbound on Lakeshore Drive, there's an accident, so expect delay there. It is 7:13, time for your Monday morning mindfulness word of the day, taken from Inspirational Conversations with Shalom Israel, a.k.a. Zelda Speaks. It says, Zelda, why do you have two names? This is America. We can have as many names as we want to, because I never liked the name Zelda. I can appreciate it, but I never liked it. Because coming up as a child, it was a witch's name. Zelda, the Wicked Witch of the West. Well, when I was working at WGCI Gospel 1390, I was studying the Bible, and a Hebrew brother, Eliah Israel, said, you should get you a name out the Bible. And I opened up the Bible, and that's what spoke to me, so that's what I claim. Shalom. Peace. So that's what it means. As I read to you today from Volume 2 of Inspirational Conversations, March 15th, it says, you have been taking care of others for so long, you've forgotten how to take care of yourself first. There's something or someone inside of you just dying to get out. There's a poet, an author, a chef, an artiste of some kind. There's a teacher, an artiste, an executive director, a consultant, a speaker of some kind, just scratching her way to the surface. Yeah, I'm talking about you. While you're caring for others, remember to take care of yourself first. Your health and sanity can't be bought from the bargain store. Begin to do something daily that gives your life meaning, that makes you laugh. Remember the spirits of women who came before you, who have moved on to greater conquest. Draw upon the strength of a Harriet Tubman, a Sojourner Truth, a Shirley Chisholm, a Maya Angelou, a phenomenal woman, a Sarah Vaughan, a Cher, a Mary Jane, and a Aretha Franklin, a Michelle Obama, a Shaka Khan. Yes, you are every woman. So remember to put the better woman, that's you, make you first. Inspirational Conversations with Shalom with Israel, a.k.a. Zelda Speaks, available at zeldaspeaks.com. All proceeds benefit the Higher Learning Network TV show, Teen Talent Contest, which is coming up on not this Saturday, but next Saturday. There will be live voting for the Global Virtual Teen Talent Contest on Facebook, HLN TV show, and YouTube. Higher Learning TV show. So be sure and share that. And call in and encourage the young people who are simply phenomenal. These children are from all over the world. They're not children, they're young people. And I am just honored to be a facilitator of showcasing their talent to the world. So be sure and share this video to encourage some youth. So if you've got some youth who want to participate, they can always send us an email at hlntvshow@gmail.com. That's hlntvshow@gmail.com. And it is 7:15. You know what that means? It's 7:17. It's time for Monday morning mindfulness meditation. So get comfortable right where you are, wherever you are. If you can, feet flat on the floor. Nothing in your hand. Nothing stopping you from moving your body. If you need to do the higher learning hip roll first, that's fine too. Just move the body. Just move it. However it feels good to you to move it, that's how you move it. Real simple. But then what I want you to do is to close your eyes, because when you close your eyes, you tune out the external world and you go within and tap into your inner spirit, that which guides you, guards you, and directs you. You see, breathing is a form of worship. Worship to the Creator, worship to yourself, that you value yourself and what you bring to your outer environment. And just remember that the power is in your hands. You've got the power. You've had it all the time. Remember the Wicked Witch of Oz? You've had the power all the time. You just didn't know it because you've been listening to all of that stuff, listening to what's in here. Heart, gut, never steer you wrong. And remember, there's power in the hands. So rub those hands together. You got a little oil, like some lavender or some lemon. Rub that in your hands and simply inhale. Through the nose. Hold it and exhale. Remember, long, deep breaths relax the system. Short, deep breaths keep you in the fight or flight syndrome. You don't want to be there. You want to be relaxed. So you'll inhale to the count of 5. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. Hold it and exhale. So let's practice together. Inhale deeply. And exhale. Oh, feel that relaxation already. Can you hear the water in the background? Oh, so relaxing. Inhale once more. Sitting up straight. Hold it. And exhale. Oh, that feels so good. Let's do it one more time. Inhale deeply. Hold it. And exhale. Now, as you continue to breathe in and to breathe out, close your eyes. You should not be looking at me, but the inside of your eyelids as you inhale deeply. And exhale, giving power, accepting the power of your breath. Because this is the one thing that you are in control of. You may not be in control of a lot of things, but the breath is definitely one of them. As you inhale deeply, chances are your mind is about to wander. It's just going all over the place. Your to-do list, what you're going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Got to get the kids ready. What you're going to do at work. Are you going to be late? Traffic, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's fine. You simply say out loud, thinking, and take another long inhale. Hold it and exhale. See, because when you say that out loud, you disrupt the pattern in the brain that's doing all the thinking, and you simply see those thoughts as they are floating down a stream. Rolling, 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 rolling. Life is what a stream. What? Just the thoughts are just rolling down the stream, and you catch them with your breath as you inhale deeply and exhale. As your eyes are closed and you're breathing in and breathing out, maybe you want to put your hand on your stomach for just a moment, just to take the attention from wherever your brain is wandering to, so that you can feel the breaths going in and out of your body. As you inhale deeply, hold it, and exhale. As you continue to breathe in, breathe out, giving thanks for the power of the breath, we give thanks for the energy in that breath that begins at the top of our head and slowly moves its way down through the face, the nose, the lips, and the chin, and down through the neck and the shoulders. As we breathe in, hold it. And as we breathe out, sending that breath on down through the solar plexus, the chest, and the sides, and the stomach, as we continue to breathe in. And breathing out, sending light and love and energy down through the back, the buttocks, the thighs, and the knees. Feel free to rub on those body parts. Let them know that you love them. You acknowledge their existence and how they work for you each and every single day without your even thinking about it. What a wonderful place to be. As you inhale deeply, giving thanks for the knees. Oh, yes, those glorious knees. As we inhale and exhale, sending light and love and energy to those knees as we smile at each and every organ in the body. But let us continue sending light and love and energy through the power of the breath, on down through the legs and the ankles and the heel and the arch and the instep and the toes. Feel free to wiggle those toes as you send that energy back up through the toes, through the legs and the knees. We inhale, bringing more light and love and energy back up through the thighs, both inner and outer. Our lower extremities, the hips and the buttocks and the back and the sides as we breathe in. Sending that love and light and energy through the breath back up through the shoulders. Massaging the back of the shoulders where we hold all that tension all day long. We simply breathe in and breathe out, rubbing those shoulders and moving those fingers to the spine and up to the back of the neck, just rubbing and giving thanks for that vagus nerves that governs everything right there in the body. Oh, just rub it. Doesn't that feel good? Massage it. Yes. As we breathe in, sending the energy back up through the face and the forehead and the top of the head, we give thanks for the power of the breath, because we now know how to release the tension in our bodies by simply inhaling deeply, hold it, and exhale. Always breathing through the nose as we give thanks for the power of the breath, because someone somewhere is unable to breathe on their own. And look at you, breathing all on your own. May not seem like much now, but someone somewhere needs to breathe on their own, and they may have an oxygen tank or an inhaler. So be thankful for the power of the breath. And as you continue to breathe in and breathe out with your eyes closed, giving thanks for the great big old smile on your face that you've been blessed with. Yes. As you close your eyes, keep those eyes closed. You give thanks for the power of the breath, and you're smiling within, giving thanks for the smile. Giving thanks for the smile that is smiling inside of you that is smiling at your heart as you inhale deeply. Giving thanks for the liver and the lungs and the spleen and the spine. Say hi to them this morning and thank them with a great big smile. They can feel it. I promise you, your digestive system, the assimilation system, and the elimination system, they all thank you, especially if you can go to the bathroom on your own and you're not constipated. If you are constipated, it's never too late to get unconstipated. Get you some Nopalina or some sea moss. Or email me, hlntvshow at gmail.com, and we'll direct you in the right direction. Inhale deeply. Continue smiling to all of your woman parts, the parts of your body that are responsible for the formation of tissue and live energy in the womb that brings forth life. It's part of your history. And even if you don't give birth to children, that does not make you any less of a woman. And if you have had children in your womb that did not make it, give thanks for the power of the womb and that soul tie that still exists that we will discuss later on in the show with our doula. And forgive yourself and the spirit of that child that did not make it today for whatever reason. Stop blaming yourself. You are always at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing for that right moment. Now, inhale on that. Inhale deeply. And exhale. And say out loud, I forgive myself. Inhale deeply. Once more, say it out loud. I forgive myself. Inhale once more. I forgive myself. I release, let go, and let the universe, my gut, the spirit that is within me, guide me, guard me, and direct me. As I inhale deeply, I give thanks for my liver and my lung and my pancreas and my spleen and my spine and my ovaries and my uterus and all of the inside parts that I don't even know about, like the trillions of cells that do what they need to do to keep me healthy. As I inhale deeply, hold it, and exhale. We are smiling with our minds, sending love, light, and laughter to our inside body parts. How cool is that? As we take one long, last, deep inhale deeply through the nose, hold it. And as we exhale, bring the face forward, chin to chest, and slowly rotate the head to the left. Slowly, slow down. Moving too fast. Yeah, feel that stretch in the neck. You should just be getting to the back and bringing the head around to the right. Yeah, feel that stretch. It feels good, doesn't it? Head up. Inhale deeply. And exhale through the nose, bringing the head back down, chin to chest. Slowly rotating the head to the right. Slowly bringing the head around to the left, moving in very small increments and bringing the head back around to the front. Head up, inhale deeply. And looking to your left as far as you possibly can, feeling the stretch in the right side of the neck. Yes, that feels good. Bringing the head back around. Turning the head to the right as far as you possibly can, feeling the stretch in the left side of the neck. And bringing the head back forward, still smiling, still breathing, giving thanks for the power of the breath. As you inhale deeply and exhale. Once more, inhale deeply and exhale. And take one more long, deep inhale deeply and exhale. Now, how does that feel? Ladies and gentlemen, you have just experienced your happiness zone. That's what you can do when you're not feeling good, or if someone comes into your space and you just don't feel like having that conversation. Start breathing. And if you got a little funk, little stank on your breath, didn't brush your teeth, got a little garlic, little onions, inhale and blow it out your nose. And I promise you, they will disappear. And that's what you can do. So be sure and share that. Only takes 5 minutes. You can do it in 2 minutes. However much time you have, whatever you need to calm yourself down in a state of chaos and confusion. And be sure and share that with someone so we can all become calm as we breathe in and as we breathe out, because that will help you make a better decision than being anxious. And I know you're anxious to get started with this show as we begin the questions. If you'd like to join in this morning, 515-605-9325, press 1 to speak. And when we come back after the commercial break, we're going to have Mary Shelton from North Carolina. She's going to be doing a first here on the Female Solution, and that is sign language for those who are hearing impaired. So be sure and tell somebody. Call them and tell them the Female Solution is on. You'll be glad you did. And thanks for listening.
We have an opportunity to transform the whole global society in the next 50 years. 50 years from now, the earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn. Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection, and to raise them in healthy, happy families. If we impart values of compassion, generosity, and respect for fellow human beings in the next generation of children, they will create a world where people can live together in peace. This is our goal. Be a part of the transformation. Get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. Go to www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com.
Are you constantly arguing with your spouse? Are your children misbehaving and acting out? Someone in your family abusing drugs? Have you been the victim of domestic violence? Are you grieving the loss of your loved one? Let us help you restore serenity to your life. At Serenity Family Social Services, we understand that good mental health is the result of emotional well-being. Our goal is to assist you and your family in relieving emotional distress and restoring harmony and balance to your lives. We offer individual, couples, and family counseling. I'm Howard Williams, CEO of Serenity Family Social Services. Call us today at 312-315-4820. That's 312-315-4820.
Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Light transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony in the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I'm Director Shinsu Kim of HWPL Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com.
This is Minister Cynthia Marie Williams, Spiritual Counselor and Advisor. I invite you to a private meeting in the areas of business,
health, finances, relationships. My introductory cost of $20. Please call because there is a higher power that can help me help you. 312-802-4743. Peace and blessings to you all. Call me. 312-802-4743. Do you worry about finances, family, health, job, relationships? Are you in pain? Do you feel stuck? If you answer yes to any of these questions, help is available. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's part of the human process. You only feel this way because you haven't mastered the voices in your head. No hype, just down to earth, solid, workable tools and techniques that you can practice daily. It's really food for the soul. Whether you want to learn how not to worry about anything, reverse type 2 diabetes, publish a book, promote your product or service, or just make extra money. To take advantage of the deal of the day, go to velvetspeaks.com or call 212-409-6619. Mention promo code The Female Solution and get free shipping. That's velvetspeaks.com or 312-409-6619. Stop worrying today. Visit velvetspeaks.com.
Grand Rising. And it's Shaka Khan. And no, I do not own the rights to this music, but I love me some Shaka Khan, and I know you do too. And I just had to share that with you today because we have a phenomenal woman with us today. And yes, she is every woman too. That is our very own Mary Shelton. Anything you want done, baby, that's Mary. Good. Look how gorgeous this morning, girl. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. You look like a movie star. Yes. Welcome, Mary Shelton from North Carolina.
Welcome, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How do you look so gorgeous this early in the morning? How you do that? What's your secret?
Oh, I think I get it from my mother.
Yes.
My mother lived to be 102.
102?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I remember her birthday party.
Yes. She had a long, full life. Yes.
And I am so honored to have not to have been there, but to see that experience. That was a beautiful experience to see a woman of her stature who has lived and seen generations after generations after generations, the transition that life goes through. Wow. So that was a blessing. And then you had the blessing of having her all those years. So
I did. And I was so happy to have my mom and my dad for I took care of them for 20 years. And I was blessed to have them both in my life.
And we are blessed to have you in our life here.
Thank you.
And we are so very grateful that you have taken the time to come on this morning and do sign language, perform sign language for us. We also have our executive producer of the Female Solution, and that would be our very own Naima Latif. And there she is joining us this morning.
Hi.
How
are you?
Oh, look at
that. Hey, how about you?
Now you got to show me that again. I'm a little embarrassed this morning because I took a class about 15 years ago, and I got out of the class and I just forgot everything. It's like you got to practice it to be good at it.
Yes.
So I'm learning slowly but surely. So you all forgive me for that. But this morning, Mary is going to be doing sign language for us.
Not all the time, but
okay.
Time.
Right. So we can remember.
And before we start, Mary, I want you to just tell us a little bit about how you came to be the sign language interpreter that you are. And I know I'm doing all that wrong, but I'm just trying to be.
Looked impressive though.
For both my mother and father were born deaf
Mm,
in North Carolina,
okay.
and which is the name of my book is Silence is Not Golden.
Mm,
Because here in North Carolina, they could not get married. Uh,
ooh,
it was not legal. So they waited until both their mother and father died and until they were in their 30s to move to Detroit, Michigan to get married.
mm,
And that was when I met you, Zelda,
okay.
to try to find my brother who was
Mm,
stolen at birth.
mm, mm.
And many people told me if they had lived here in North Carolina, I would not be born
Wow.
Wow.
because deaf ladies back then were not allowed to have babies.
What?
No,
Because you were deaf, you could not give birth?
no. My mother would have been sterilized.
Oh wow.
So they had to move to Michigan
Oh my
to,
goodness.
to begin a family there in Michigan.
Now you talk about medical racism, medical apartheid.
Right, right. My father's white and my mother's black. So they moved to Michigan and got married and started a family there. But the firstborn was in a hospital where they told my mother and father, you're deaf and dumb, which was a phrase back then, said that you go home and have another one.
Mm,
Was we're taking this one
mm,
and you have no right.
mm, mm,
So we're taking this one. And my mother's roommate in the hospital said, don't have any more in this hospital because
mm.
this one is known to take babies from people like you. So she did not have my other brothers there at that
Mm,
hospital.
mm.
So I've been looking for that brother all these years since I met you.
Wow. That's been 15
That
years.
was 13.
13. Yeah, see, I was close.
Yeah,
Mm.
Wow.
13.
Is that hospital still in existence?
Oh, no, they've torn it down. All the doctors are dead. And um, there's just, I did a DNA, test to try to find him. And the PI found 7 boy babies born on that day, but they've changed their names, and we don't know um, what happened.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So, but I'm here.
That's what matters.
That's what matters.
I wonder if your
Just
brother even
trying
knows.
to find my brother because my other 2 brothers are dead. My
Mm,
mother and father are dead. And I don't have a relationship with my only daughter. She divorced me when I divorced her father over 30 years ago.
oh.
Oh
And
wow.
waiting for the Lord to fix that.
Mm, wow. Prayers are with you, my sister. I had no idea. Wow. I'm glad I did ask you that.
And again, the name of my book is Silence is Not
Got to go.
Golden. And hopefully people can read my life story because it was not pretty.
Hmm. And where can they buy that book?
They can buy that on Amazon.
Is it in Kindle form? Can they?
Yes, yes,
I'll
yes.
be getting it
Okay.
today.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah,
So your brother doesn't know that you exist. He wouldn't know to look for you, or do you think he
no,
might have? Oh,
I have no idea. I have
wow.
no idea. I'm
Mm,
just praying for a miracle.
He's somewhere.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Well, we all know that God works in wonderful and mysterious ways. So we just stay prayerful, knowing that everything is in divine order and it will happen when it's supposed to.
Right, right, right.
We give
I'm in
thanks for you.
agreement with you.
We give thanks for you still on the journey and never giving up. And Silence is Not Golden by Mary Shelton is available at Amazon.com. If you just tuned in today, thank you so much for joining us here on The Female Solution. It is 7:47. I am joined by my sisters. Happy Herstory Month.
Yeah.
Be sure and tune in tomorrow morning, Self Cell Care with Jody Jusan. And on Wednesday, our executive producer, Naima Latif, and Kareem Hamid, Repairing Family Relationships.
Preparing
On Thursday,
family relationships on Wednesday. Good. That's a
Yeah.
good. All right.
and and Naima, would you like to finish that right quick while I get the door?
Yes. Well, one of the things that we look at is situations like you described, where families have been broken for various reasons. Maybe there is a pending divorce. Sometimes we'll help a couple who's going through a difficult decision as to whether or not to try to save their marriage because there's what seems to be irreconcilable differences. So, what we try to do is help families mend the broken pieces to restore what conflicts may have torn apart. And if they choose to part, to at least part amicably. The difficulties that we have is that when there's a divorce, it's usually so painful and people are so angry, they're not able to talk to each other. And that's why it costs us so much money to get divorced because we have to pay lawyers to talk through them to each other. And of course, they charge money. But if we could just agree that perhaps our union is over because we no longer have the compatibilities that we had that brought us together, and if we could agree to co-parent our children if they're still of minor age or still going through college or whatever the case may be, if we can just agree to work together, even though we're not still a married couple, then we could cut out that middleman, the middle people, the lawyers and the judges and all the people that get involved in our family relationship because we're too angry to talk to each other. That's the biggest challenge because people get angry if the one who said, I'm going to love you forever says, I changed my mind. I don't love you anymore. So if we can learn to not be angry when people grow apart, when people even find another love interest that best suits who they have become, if we can learn to let go and allow people to make those choices and still fulfill our obligation to our children to be their parents and their supporters throughout their lives, and we can maintain a friendship, then we don't create so much destruction in our families. It is a painful thing when our children don't understand that we need to part ways as a married couple and they feel like someone needs to be at fault. Whose fault is it that you're divorcing? Well, that's why they came up with the no fault divorce. Sometimes it's nobody's fault. Sometimes you just have grown in different directions. And rather than hold each other to a point where you can't be who you are, You need to let each other go so you can let each other grow. And that's the most respectful way to handle it. If we can manage to have that level of maturity, then we can help our children accept the parting without the children feeling broken. Because when there's a divorce, children feel like they have been torn apart, especially when we try to make them take sides. I'm right, your father's wrong. I'm right, your mother's wrong. You know, all of that. But our job on Wednesdays is to try to help families come to a peaceful conclusion to whatever the conflict is. Sometimes they can decide to stay together and work on the marriage. Sometimes they need to choose to part ways peacefully so that all involved can accept the decision and still remain friends.
And friendship is it's everything in a relationship, no matter who you are. If you're not friends, it's not going to work. You have to be friends.
You do. And sometimes people form romantic relationships with people and they're not friends.
Right.
They have maybe a passionate love life and all that, but they don't really like each other. So when that passion part is gone for whatever reason, there's nothing left.
Right.
And then they realize, I don't want to be with this person. I don't even like them. And then that's when it gets ugly, when there's a divorce, because then there's anger and all of that, jealousy, resentment, vengeance. But if you have a friendship, even if you choose not to be husband and wife, you can still be lifelong friends. And that's when your children don't feel as broken. They might feel regret because, you know, they miss the family time. And I've known some divorced couples, they can still get together with maybe their new spouse and their ex-spouse's new spouse. And, you know, things like your children's weddings and birthdays and graduations, you want to all be able to come together and nobody feel resentful. Oh, I can't invite mom because dad is coming with his new wife, or I can't invite dad because mom is coming with a new husband. You don't want to have that kind of drama. You want to have your family be able to be loving and friendly, even if your parents are no longer together as husband and wife. So that's our goal, to try to get adults to that point of adulthood where they can still be friends, even if a marriage ends. And if a marriage is in trouble, if we can help them learn how to work out the difficulty, they can stay together and then forgive whatever the conflict was. Because if you're gonna stay together, you gotta let it go. You can't keep bringing it up. Yeah, well, 5 years ago you cheated on me. 5 years ago you stole all the money out the bank account. You can't keep bringing it up. Let it go. Let it go and forgive so you can start anew.
Yeah, because it's living in the past that will keep you in bondage.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Grand Rising Sister. I love your nature scene and feeling the positive energy. Yes, you're like, oh, my nature this morning. I'm loving it too. Thank you so much for coming. Beata Robinson will be with us shortly here. She's our official doula on the Female Solution. And that's the topic today, abortions and miscarriages with doulas and soul ties. And just as I said, that here she is joining us this morning, my sister of the microphone, our very own Beata in Florida. Thank you, my sister. Thank you for joining us this morning. You popped in right on time.
Now, I was just listening to your signer's story. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to read that book.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story.
Silent, not golden. Yeah, got to get that today. Yeah,
that is some kind of story. It's like, wow, I never heard that one before. Oh, sorry about that. Little technical difficulties. There you go.
There you go.
Can you tell us exactly what a doula is, as a doula yourself?
Okay, so a doula is a support person for a woman who has decided to carry a baby in her womb. So when the woman realizes that she's pregnant, the conscious, mindful thing for her to do is to seek a doula to support her in a way that her husband or the father can't support her, especially if the father is not around.
Mm.
It becomes even more important if she doesn't have family members to support her, or it's just recognizing that she doesn't know everything about this pregnancy. I even had a woman seek me out who had had 3 children, and she was on her fourth child, and she was seeking a doula because she didn't want to go through the epidural and all the drugs and that she went through with her first 3 pregnancies. She wanted to have a natural birth. So she did seek me out, and we met and we talked. And then her family convinced her to not hire me, and I wasn't even being hired. I was actually in training. And her family decided they would be the ones to support her. So, hey, I wasn't offended at all because at least her family came in and filled in that role. And I didn't hear from her, but the idea is to, even if you have a midwife is licensed to deliver the baby. A
Mm.
doula can be there to hold her back up, to tell her to breathe more, to give her. My first doula experience at Orlando Hospital, one of the doulas had been there 12 hours, and she called me and said, I need some help. I need you to come in and fill in. And so I did. And so I had my essential oils there. And this woman was so exhausted after more than 12 hours of laboring that I was just offering her oils to calm her down. She slept for a while, and then her husband was in the room, the father was in the room, and I just offered her some oils, and I let her smell lavender and peppermint oil and to see which one do you like. She chose the peppermint oil. So throughout the rest of her labor, I was offering her a scent of peppermint oil.
Mm.
And that was just, you could just see the calm coming over her face, just smelling that essential oil. So I love the fact that you're talking about doulas in the area of abortion or miscarriage, because either way, whether it's bringing new life into the atmosphere or wanting to let go of a pregnancy, a doula can support that woman's emotional decision, and that's all we are is support. We can't.
Mm.
We're not allowed to tell her what to do. That's
Mm.
part of the training. Don't direct her. You got to do this. You got to do that. It's more like, what do you want? What are you feeling? How can I help you? How can I support you?
Mm.
Holding your hand, rubbing your feet, rubbing your legs, rubbing your
Mm.
thighs,
Mm.
whatever the father can't do, and a lot of them usually don't have a clue, and some of them are really involved. But whatever the father or family cannot do, a doula comes in there to, and especially in the beginning, with my knowledge on nutrition and diet, I can guide these women on the types of food they should eat and exercise, breathing, from day one. A woman should really hire a doula from the first day that she knows she's pregnant or expecting. She should be seeking a doula if she is not knowledgeable enough to support that pregnancy herself.
Really? I did not know that. And I
Yeah.
wonder how many of our listeners know that. And speaking of listeners, we have callers on the line, but we've got a quick commercial break, a message break here for you. We're gonna come back. Area code 336-350. We will be back to take your call right after this commercial break here on the Female Solution, where we're talking about abortions and miscarriages with doulas and the soul ties. So stay close and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Soulful Chicago Book Fair 2020 Vision Fundraising Campaign. That's right. You can support the vision of reviving Black literary excellence in the city by simply taking your $20 or more and donating it on our website. Visit www.soulfulchicagobookfair.com and click the Donate tab on our homepage, or give us a call at 646-359-6605, and we welcome you, helping us breathe literary life into the South Side of Chicago. What happens when a group of people are kidnapped from their homes, smuggled away in chains, and held captive in a foreign land where they are tortured, raped, and forced to perform hard labor by the lash of a whip and under the constant threat of death. Slavery, the African American psychic trauma. What happened to the doctors, writers, scientists, builders, educators, and spiritual leaders from Africa's golden age? Who did they really capture and sell into slavery? Are all African Americans suffering from psychic trauma because of a conspiracy to hide their true identities? Do you have psychic trauma? Take the test on page 22 of the book and see. Order it online today at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. And get your personally autographed copy of the book, Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma.
Oh man, God sent the monthly sun bill today. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark. Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456, and schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456. I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm Beata.
And that is our very own Viata right here on the Female Solutions as we're discussing abortions and miscarriages, soul ties. And I think she wants.
Yeah, I have one more point to make because Mama AZ connected me to a woman who was in her 9th month of pregnancy. And that was such a blessing because this woman was full of fear about a cesarean that had been scheduled. And even in the 9th month, a doula can make a difference because what I was able to share with this woman about the partnership that she and that baby were in, and that she needed to connect to that baby, which she had no clue about, that she needed to talk to that baby, play music with that baby, dance with that baby. What I was able to share with her, she avoided a C-section and had a beautiful birth. And she's now, she was on my show not too long ago. She called in to share how, and the baby was there talking to us. That was such a blessing to know that I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because even in the 9th month, connecting with her as a doula, she avoided a C-section and had a natural birth, and she's now more positive about this mothering experience. And that's another thing. Doulas play a role after the baby's born as well, to help them connect to the baby and get their nursing. I've taken classes about nursing. I've nursed myself 2 babies, so coaching them about how to get the nursing going, and even helping them with their environment after the baby's born to help them have more peace and calm in their new environment. So it's a nice big role that I really enjoy when I've had the opportunity to play that role.
And I'm glad you mentioned environment, because afterwards, after giving birth, I have often heard that it's traumatic. I have not birthed any children. I don't have a clue anything about that. I don't have biological children, but I have nieces and nephews that I raised because I was 9 and my sister was 13 and she was busy having them, and I was the built-in babysitter. So it's like, okay, I can do without that experience. So let her keep having them and I'll keep babysitting. But the environment after a mother has given birth, that is extremely important because it can bring your psyche down or bring it up. And I'm sure some of our callers have questions, so let's get to them. Area code.
In fact, Zelda, when you sign a contract with someone who hires you as a doula, you can include in there, what do you want me to do after the baby's born? Like if they wanted me to clean the house, if they want to include that in the contract and pay that, then I would be willing to do that even for a new mother once in a while. Not But that would be part of the contract that you make when you first meet the mother and set up, okay, this is what I do. What do you want? What do you need? Here's what we're going to work out. And then boom, this is my fee. All that goes in the environment afterwards and everything.
That's good information to know. See, I did not know that. Learn something new every day. Wow. So they can include pretty much anything that they want.
Exactly.
Okay.
Especially if the father is not there to support or family, they may have more needs than someone who has like 6 brothers and sisters who want to come and do whatever. It's a whole different, it's a individualized service that you're offering.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that because I had no idea. Let's go to the phone lines. 336-350. You are live on the Female Solution. Grand Rising. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Grand Rising, Sister Zelda. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's Mama AZ. Thank you for calling in, Mama AZ.
You are quite welcome, and thank you for taking my call, and greetings to the family and your guests. In the beginning, it was muffled, and I couldn't hear it. I'm going to have to go back because this is very interesting. Your guest name is Mary. How do you spell the last name?
Shelton, Shelton. Mary Shelton. She's the author of Silence is Not Golden. Available at Amazon.
It's a contraction.
Okay.
Is available.
All right. Shelton, T-O-N, right?
Shelton. Yes, it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen.
Isn't golden? Is it?
All right.
Silence is not golden. Is that correct, ma'am?
Isn't. It's a contraction.
Silence isn't golden.
Life isn't golden.
Okay, silence isn't golden. All right. I'm not sure of what part of North Carolina, sisters, that you're in. I'm wondering, how close are you to Winston-Salem?
How can what, Mama AZ?
How close is Sister Mary to Winston-Salem, North Carolina?
Oh, very close. I live in Fuquay-Varina, right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. I was there for almost 40 years, from 79 to 2016. And there's a case that was tried by Rumble. He was a representative. I know you know who I'm talking about. There was another lady. She was sterilized. She did have a son, but what's the Planned Parenthood? I think it started. It was launched in Winston-Salem. It went so long. I have the information on film. But there's another woman. You look it up. Family. North Carolina is notorious.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Well,
she said North Carolina is notorious for
sterilizing.
Is that what you're saying, Mama AZ? Because you're breaking up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they're notorious for sterilizing women.
And isn't that
And isn't that where Planned Parenthood with the woman, what's your name? Isn't that where that started? I wish Brother Kwame would chime in. But anyway, you look this up. It's on record. They had a major case there of sterilization. And this sister is a sister. She went back and I think she was able to have one son, and they sterilized her after that, but they did that a lot in North Carolina. And I didn't hear what you said.
I believe that because doctors told me I would not be born if my mother remained here.
Wow.
Well, yes. This is deep, sister. I hope, because this is Women's Her Story Month, I really hope that you will connect with Dr. V, Sister Viata, because there's more that you must share with this planet. And this is very interesting. Today is a 5. And 5 basically represents change. So this is a very powerful day that you came on Sister Zelda's show, and you just you've given me a lot of confirmation, sister, about some things. So thank us. I know it's other people. I hope to have a reason with you, if that's possible. Thank you.
Thank us.
Thank you, sister.
Oh, thank you.
Mama AZ.
Thank you.
And I will share I will share with you, Mary, Mama AZ's information. So thank you so very much, Mama AZ.
That was so sweet. So sweet. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're gonna go take our next caller, area code 647-204. You're live on the Female Solution. Grand Rising. Happy Herstory Month. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Patrick. I'm calling from Toronto. How are you ladies doing this morning?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling. Toronto, Canada?
Yeah.
I have to ask, because I didn't know there was a Paris, Mississippi. Somebody called it from Paris one time. I'm like, oh, Paris, France. She's like, no, Paris, Mississippi. So I had to ask. So you're calling in from Toronto, Canada. Thank you so much for calling.
Good. No problem. Interesting discussion. I think those are two. Well, first of all, there was a young lady who made some statements earlier about marriage that I actually agreed with. But I think, as far as marriage is concerned and divorce and that kind of thing, we have to. I think we need to step back like a people and try to figure out what is marriage, what is the purpose for it in this day and time, and so that we can go forward. I think if we're going to do marriage, then divorces should be the exception, not the rule. If it's the rule, then we should really step back and figure out what in the world we're doing. And as far as children are concerned, they didn't ask for all of it. So we have to get it right. Either we're going to do it or we're not, right? Just doing it and then getting divorced. Everybody, now we're starting to hear 60% divorce rate and all that. I mean, if it's not working, then we need either do it or stop playing.
Well, thank you.
We just all live together and just fool around, or some people are going to get married. We got to stop playing. We're playing around with stuff.
Okay, I see.
We got to start being honest with ourselves.
Thank you so much for that. I see Viata wants to respond to that.
I respect his opinion, because that opinion comes from childhood programming and teaching about marriage and divorce. But after having such a peaceful divorce and people telling me, well, God hates divorce, I started really thinking about what is divorce? What's the purpose of it? And my belief is now that divorce is necessary sometimes, because we are here to learn lessons. If you make a choice, it's not a mistake, in my opinion, when you realize this person is not working out for me. it's an awakening. It's a consciousness raising when you realize, okay, this relationship's not working. So I need to make a choice. I need to make a change. I need to make an adjustment. It's not a bad thing, in my opinion, when you realize I need a divorce. Divorce is something that helps you make a separation from a situation you're in that's not comfortable, that's fearful, that you realize you made a choice that is not profiting you, you're not growing, all the things that emotions that come up when you think I need a divorce, they're good because it helps us get in touch with our humanness, who we are. These are natural things. It's not just like you said earlier. We did earlier a forgiveness a mantra this morning. Zelda, you were leading us in forgive. I was laying in bed going through the forgiveness with you. I forgive myself. Too many people go through unforgiveness all of their life. Think I made a bad mistake because I divorced my husband, or I made a bad mistake because I had an abortion. I made a bad. Well, it's part of the human experience. And then our sister here, Mary, is writing about her experience. It wasn't all comfortable. It wasn't all roses and praises and laughter, but we are meant to be here on this planet to have a human experience, and that includes divorce sometimes. So I say, don't beat up on yourself about not getting it right because you didn't stay in the marriage all your life till death do you part. Okay, that's another one. Till death do you part is like an emotional statement. You're dead emotionally in a relationship, and it's time to part. It's not until your soul leaves your body that you have to be in this marriage. It's until you realize there's no life, no vitality here in this relationship. So it's time for me to go. That's a beautiful thing when people can realize that and make changes for the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. That's not my disagreement. My thing is that is this what we want as a race? I'm not saying that divorced people shouldn't get divorced. Maybe a lot of people like myself shouldn't have gotten married. But I think we have to ask ourselves, is this what we want? And is this what we want for the next generation? Yes, we can all get divorced and married. Married and divorced within 5 years. We can all do that. And it'll be fine, but it has consequences. Right? So we just need to really figure out what exactly are we doing with this. Nothing wrong with divorce. Most people have gone through it. Nothing wrong with people making a decision for divorce, but maybe we need to think about maybe a way we can do things so that there won't be as much of a need for it. Maybe that's education in school. Maybe we can teach. How many of us have received any kind of training on how to actually find a mate for us? I haven't. I didn't learn that in school.
They're not going to teach you that.
About psychology as far as identifying, narcissists or selfish people, or the kind of traits of the person that I will probably fit best with. I didn't learn anything about that. I just went out here and found somebody like everybody else, right? So I think maybe we should start giving thought so that maybe the next generation will have more success with choosing a mate, and maybe that may have some benefits for the family, the Black family as a whole.
Well, but what is success? When you say have success, what is success? You're going to make choices, and even if you go through, say, marriage counseling, and you get all this training, and then further down the road, your spouse or partner says, "Oh, I met somebody I really love," and I don't know, and you didn't have that training when you went through the marriage counseling. So now what do? It's a mindfulness, like Monday morning mindfulness. You're in the present moment. Time to make some adjustments. Time to pray. Time to meditate. I'm in this new challenge. What do I do now? This is what this journey is all about. It's not like you're going to be successful or unsuccessful in a new relationship. It's that get ready to learn some lessons, and then take the psychology of adjustments class my dad always talked about, and be ready to make changes or adjustments to bring peace to your life. You can either stay in the misery or find a way to get out of it, but that's part of this journey, is making these decisions to improve your life or stay in the mess you're in. That's part of life.
Mm.
You know, I think the point that Patrick is making, I was just going to say, Patrick, I think the point that you're making is how can we create something where there's less heartache? Because that's what everybody really fears. They fear being attached to someone and then having to detach, and there's pain involved in that. We speak of soul ties. And people think, well, if I just don't get married, then I won't have my heart broken. Well, you create a soul tie every time you're physically intimate. It doesn't matter if you have a piece of paper saying you're family. Every time you engage in a spiritual energy exchange, you create a soul tie with that other person. And your body responds biologically by emitting the biochemical component of what is it? Starts with an E. What is that? You know what I'm talking about. It'll come to me. Anyway, you're bonding with that person biochemically as well as emotionally. And even if one of you just thought it was just a one night stand, you still created a soul tie. So there isn't a way to have companionship, partnership, fun, share money, intimacy, and all of that, and it not cause pain when you part because you have created that tie. So simply not marrying won't make that happen. Mm-hmm. And part of your growth and your learning is to learn how to have relationships with other people. It's learning how to love without feeling that you must control. And that is the biggest lesson that many of us still have not mastered, feeling that you must own someone. So our need right now is to redefine marriage so that we can have that loving companionship without belief in ownership. You're mine. I own you. I'm going to control you and decide what you should do with your life and how you should feel. You can't do that. All of us have free will. So a marriage in the modern times today, what you're suggesting perhaps we do in terms of preparing people and even redefining it, needs to be one that's respectful of both parties' free will to stay together in that partnership as long as it's mutually satisfying and mutually beneficial. But to also have the understanding that each party is free to go if it no longer suits their needs, and respectfully fulfill whatever obligations they have in the raising of children that they created together, and to honestly divide whatever property they purchase together. And that means preparing yourself for a level of maturity even before you get into that partnership, so that whether you have the legal papers that say you're married or you just have that temporary love relationship, you still are able to part without anger and acrimony and vengeance. That's what we need to work toward.
And it's all in divine order. No matter what happens, if you have the consciousness and awareness that you had this assignment when you went into your mother's womb, that's why being a doula can teach you so much about the whole process of sex, and then pregnancy, and then birth, and then relationships. I took it to a whole new level. And it's all in divine order, no matter what happens, the divorce, the anger, the bitterness. It's waking up to this emotional human experience we're having, and then making better choices. And you're on track no matter what, because you signed up for this relationship you're having with Mother Earth and people, and the relationship. I couldn't help thinking about Mary's parents, how they came together, even though they couldn't even speak, or they were deaf, right?
Yes.
Her parents were deaf, but yet the universe, the energy brought them together to produce this beautiful soul we're looking at now. It's like, it's all amazing that we're going through all these lessons and meeting new people. It's a relationship thing now. It's like, wow, who can I meet next that can teach me something that I can teach, and that we can learn together and grow together.
And I just discovered what or just remember what the chemical is.
The E word.
Oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin.
Yes.
These are hormones that are released when you have a bonding experience of physical intimacy, whether you're married or not. And so if you're trying to avoid attachment so that you avoid heartbreak, you can't. So marriage basically just means you have a long range goal and you believe you can work together and best achieve that goal together as a partnership. That's pretty much what marriage is.
That's powerful. You wanted to comment again, Patrick? I heard a butt.
Yes. On the one hand, we're talking about how crucial and how important these soul ties are.
Yes.
And I agree. All I'm saying is that if it's that important, then we should take it more seriously. If it's so important, then let's figure out what it is that we're doing here. If either it's important or it's not. If it is important, then we need to treat it with such importance. And as far as marriage is concerned, that's fine. A man and woman can get married 1 year, they can get divorced the next year, they can go out and get married another year and get divorced the next year. Two consenting adults can do that all their whole life, and that's fine. You get married 20 times. Mm-hmm. That's fine. What I'm saying is that there are consequences when we start talking about having children, and we're seeing that in our neighborhoods today.
Are you a father, Patrick?
Single parent households, we're seeing the results. We can say, okay, we're just out here just getting married and having a human experience, which we are, and I agree. But you judge a fruit by the tree. I mean, the tree by the fruit that it bears.
Are you a Patrick? Patrick, are you a father?
What's your point?
Are you a father? Are you a father? Are you married?
I was married. The two children I have are a result of the marriage.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever in your life been with a woman who decided not to keep her pregnancy, or have you ever encouraged a woman to do that?
I've never gotten a woman pregnant except until I got married.
Wow, that's a new one. Not a whole lot of brothers can say that.
That used to be the norm, now it's the exception, unfortunately.
That just shows his parents trained him well to have that beautiful attitude about family and marriage and children. I really respect his point of view because he's taking, like he says, take this seriously. I would use another word, sacred. Too many of our children, young adults, don't look at the body as sacred, so they're jumping in bed with anybody and they don't look at sex as sacred. So that's where Patrick can be a very influential part of this journey, is teaching young people about the seriousness of relationships and the sacredness of the body and sex. That's where we're missing all of it. When we talk about abortions and miscarriages, that's a sacred process that takes place. Not only is the flesh and the physical part eliminated, but the soul leaves the body if it's at a later stage. So it is serious. I agree with it. It is serious. We should take it serious. But unfortunately, everybody doesn't have the training that he had as a child that has brought him to this very mature attitude as a man, a grown man who I really respect his attitude. Yeah, let's get serious, people. But if they didn't have that training as children, they don't want to get serious. They want to just have fun and have pleasure. So we got to deal with everybody where they are, each individual where they are, and help them along, coach them. That's what we are here for in Female Solution. Coach these young men along, the women too, whether it's abortion and miscarriages. Take it seriously, yes. And teach them about sacredness and relationship harmony and all the things we're talking about.
Well, thank you so very much for calling and sharing that, Patrick from Canada. We appreciate you. We always appreciate a man's opinion on the female solution because we appreciate the male energy as well as the feminine energy. So thank you so much for calling, and please continue to call in.
And just for your information, Zelda, there's no other Toronto in the United States. when you said that, when you said that, I put it in my map. I thought, wonder GPS. Let me see. Is there no Toronto other than Canada?
Paris, Mississippi. Paris, when the lady called in and said she was from Paris, that threw me for a loop because I knew she
I
was
know.
coming. She
I
said
know.
Paris, Mississippi. I fell out.
Yeah, that's funny. So
Well,
we're good on.
Egypt, just so I think it's in there. Memphis and Egypt. So
Yes.
yeah, so somebody
Yes.
called Memphis could be Egyptian. You know,
Yeah.
ask.
That's right.
So thank you so very much for calling in, Patrick. Let's take our last break. If you want to call in, 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak, and we'll take your call. We'll be right back.
Say we would like to be wealthy, but wealth isn't determined by how much money you have. Wealth is determined by your power to define what money is. The dictionary defines money as something used as a way to pay for goods and services and to pay people for their work. So how would you like to have access to an unlimited source of money? Money that is not taxed by the government. Money that increases as you share the opportunity with others. Money that you can use to pay for goods and
Oh, look at there. Oh, hi, Poochie.
services. About Bitcoin.
Poochie.
It's the future of
Oh, how sweet.
Bitcoin is the new money that you control. Get started building your wealth. Call 312-849-3456. That's 312-849-3456.
Okay, Mary will have to introduce the new guest.
Non-essentials.
Just got back down.
I started Tucson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. And yes, I reversed all my chronic diseases using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Tucson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses. And we do that with helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Tucson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and an energy-based healing.
With a Place of Peace pop-up from Tucson Essentials, we were able to increase productivity, mental acuity, leaving you with higher energy and peace in just 20 minutes. We pop up at our office or yours.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husband and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-205-9025. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
Hi, I'm Dr. CJ of Valona Health, where we combine orthopedic manual therapy and neuroscience to treat the whole person. Our tip for the day is keep it moving. Doesn't matter how, just keep it moving doing something you enjoy. Walking, dancing, rolling on the floor with your dogs or kids, really anything. The body clears movement to keep the bones, joints, and the muscles happy. Even our mental health and internal organs and digestive system rely on our movement. Thanks for being a part of the Higher Learning Network, the Female Solution.
And it's all about the movement, people. That's why I'm doing the Higher Learning Hip Roll right here on the Female Solution, because this is what we do, because we are celebrating you and your story. Herstory Month, Women's Herstory Month with Shaka Khan and Mary Shelton. And Viata, our own doula and residence here, and our very own executive producer, Naima Latif, and yours truly, Zelda Speaks on Monday Morning Mindfulness. Yes, we are every woman. We are most grateful for Shaka Khan. No, we don't own the music, but we loving her anyway and celebrating Shaka Khan. And we're celebrating you. And we're going to be celebrating you all week long, starting tomorrow too. Self-care with Jody Susan. On Wednesday, Naima Latif and Kareem Hamid, Repairing Family Relationships. Thursday, it's the Women's Roundtable. And Friday, Health and Wellness with Viata, our very own doula here on the Female Solution. Now, let's not forget about on the weekends. On the weekends, we're not on in the morning. We're on at 12 noon until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So find out what time that is in your area. The first Saturday is Nonviolent Communication with Jana from London, England. And the second Saturday, Black Taboo with Love, Joy, and Powers. Third Saturday, Travel with Deborah. It's time to go back to the Discovery Cove in Florida where you get some greenery going on here. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Now, I was hoping Mama D would call in this morning because Mama D is what sparked this conversation of whether or not abortion is murder. Mama D is from old school. I am from old school too. So I'm in between that old paradigm of thinking and the new paradigm of thinking. And that is, if there is intercourse, there's a relationship, there's intercourse, and a woman decides to not bring that pregnancy to term, she has the right to her own body because we may not know the situation. In my first pregnancy, I was raped. And as we talked about in the last show, I was scared to death of having a baby. I was a built-in babysitter for my 13-year-old sister who's been deceased 20 something years now. And not the one that's living. No, not Vivian, not Creasy. And she was busy having babies, and I was that built-in babysitter. And from what I saw around me, the children, there were no fathers. There was just I just saw chaos and confusion, and I didn't want that in my life. So I was happy that an abortion was offered to me. And show you how karma works. My brothers, who are no longer with us, went to look for him to do him bodily harm, and they found him dead.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no guilt about that whatsoever. Some may say I have no conscience. Well, they're entitled to their opinion, but this is my life, so that's why I am pro-choice. Whatever a woman wants to do, that is her choice. And I have a question for you, Viata, and all the women that are listening. What is the soul tie to that experience for that child to have not come through? I heard you say something about it in the first show, so I'd just like for you to reiterate that again.
I don't know if it was me, but someone mentioned the fact that I think it was Mama AZ with her twin experience recently, that those twins came to her before they miscarried. She miscarried and told her, "We don't want to be in this family. We don't want to be in this relationship. We're going back to our source, and we'll see you later," basically. So I think that must ring true to a lot of souls where the mother decides she doesn't want to continue the pregnancy. But I was going to say, when I was listening to your story, we all have a story. There are a lot of women who were raped and decided to go to deliver that baby, and the children have a powerful testimony as adults because their mother chose not to abort them. Either way, we can go back to the fact, I think, that that was a divine assignment. That mother knew she was in a starseed position before she came into her mother. She was going to have a journey to choose abortion. Good, you had that experience. So it's not good or bad. That's why when you have some women who believe it's murder, and it was wrong. I made a wrong decision. And nah, not necessarily, because we're all here to grow. And you actually agreed to do this before you
Mm,
came into this existence on Mother Earth. So it's really not bad at all. You really agreed to have this whole experience so that you could share that today with us, Zelda, your experience on emotions behind abortion, events around abortion that cause us to choose that option. I think it should be an option as well. My grandmother used all kinds of in 1920s. My dad told me back then women were using coat hangers, bleach. They
mm-hmm.
were using whatever they could. They were poor. They used whatever they could to end that pregnancy. In fact, my dad's mother tried to get rid of him when she was pregnant with him, and he was born weighing 10 pounds. So no matter
Whoa.
what no matter what our human decision is, sometimes there's a divine override. My mother wanted to abort me. She told me before she passed because she didn't want another child, but here I am. So there's a divine override that takes place if you're
Mm,
meant to be here. So you can go ahead and make all your human decisions, but in the end, the universe and the creator is going to overrule what was meant to be. So why not just relax in every decision and make the best of it and teach and share your testimony? Because those women or men who were survived an abortion, they're now giving their testimony on what their life was meant to be since they survived that experience.
mm. Wow. Oh, that's powerful. Mary, thank you so much for using sign language this morning for our hearing impaired. We greatly appreciate that. I've always, even when I was, well, still producing the Higher Learning Network TV show, which you'll see this on, which airs Tuesdays at 6, Wednesdays at 1 on Channel 19, my instructor, my sign language instructor was on, and he had to go away. So it was always in the back of my mind to have someone on the show. And then here you are. Hallelujah. Let's go back to the phone line. Yes, we appreciate you, my sister. 336-350. I think that's Mama D. I'm not Mama D. Mama AZ wants to chime in again. Mama AZ. 336-350.
I went, the ancestors brought me to North Carolina and in '79, and to this very moment, that experience of being there and gathering information, the people that I was involved with, this is where I learned conclusively, and I give thanks again to Minister Cynthia Marie Williams for just kind of bringing me out of the closet, meaning giving me courage enough to talk about this. We have agreements before we come to this planet, and I used to think abortion was, oh God, I don't think so now. I mean, I know not now. Like my nephew and my little niece said, hey, Robbie, we got to get out of here because this family is not suitable for our mission, you see. And then I was sitting at the fire in North Carolina, at the cabin. And I'm like, what? So to make a long story short, family, do your research. It took me a long time to get that wrapped around my head. Why would I choose a mother who drank and it produced alcohol fetal syndrome? I was angry for a long time. I love my mother. Whatever she did not abort me, family. And I am here today to reconnect with all of you and then some on the line to experience these things. It's an experience. We decide what we're going to do, if we're going to murder people, whatever. This school here is a teacher. This boot camp. Planet Earth family is a boot camp. There are many, many souls that are waiting just to get here because this place is so challenging, you see. So that's another story. I appreciate it.
You used a
Not
very
murder
interesting
someone.
word, Mama Az.
Not
You used a
to
very interesting
murder.
word. You said murder. That's a very interesting word. Why did you choose the word murder?
Because many people say you're murdering the babies, you're murdering, it is not. That's just my opinion, okay? Over the research, and I give thanks to all of those Caucasian people there in North Carolina and South Carolina and Virginia who really gave me some lessons, food for thought. You see, the first meditation group that I went, there were only 2 other people that looked like me that rose in that group in the beginning, and that was the Winfrey, relation to Oprah Winfrey. Okay, there were doctors there in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And after that, no one in my circle looked like me. They were all Caucasian. And I learned, family. I learned. And this is why this female solution and what we are doing, especially Dr. Lateef, we are coming up to the platform. Being in North Carolina, the Bible Belt, I experienced a heck of a with the people at the churches, even in Florida. One of the biggest churches, my husband. And, they said I was demonized.
And you know what? That word murder, Zelda, is just the language of anti-abortionists. You could use murder in so many contexts that it would stir up what? Emotions, right? So when you ask that, that's a really interesting question. Why murder? Because that's what the anti-abortionists or the anti-abortionists have developed that language to relate it to the same choice that someone makes to take a life, an adult life. I look at murder more in the adult to adult confrontation rather than mom to baby confrontation. But how many times have we heard that that word used in this context so that it's almost intentional by anti-abortion. Uh-oh, we lost Zelda.
She'll be back.
It's almost intentional by anti-abortionists to stir up emotions, to try and control people not to do that. It's like that we were talking about the campaign, marketing campaign that this whole Corona adventure has been on. Promote fear, murder. Oh my goodness, murder. So maybe we can motivate people who are murdering their babies in the womb to stop it, right? So, because you could use another word, terminate, eliminate, there's expulsion. I was looking to terminate. There's so many words you could use to describe that process of ending that growth in the womb, right? But murder stirs up emotions, doesn't it? Oh my goodness, we don't want to think about murder.
Right. Well, it also gives the impression that you get one shot at life and then it's over. And that
At the Indian March in Washington, that's how I found out about when nations gather. Family, this show is a PowerPoint. A PowerPoint, and send it to me because I will post it to my 300 and something people who are connected to me on Facebook. Thank you for this time and this day, family. Thank you, Sister Zelda. This is major, people.
Well, we're just messengers. Thank us. We realize that we're just messengers doing what we've been designed to put here to do. It is 8:50. We've got about 7 minutes here as we continue the conversation on abortion.
And, you dropped out, Zelda, for a while. And
I know. I saw it. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that word, and I saw Jody posted something about words and fear, but we were talking about how the word murder is used almost by the anti-abortionists to stir up emotions, to motivate people to stop that behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole campaign, even with this virus, the campaign has been fear, fear, fear. And now they're trying to motivate us to get an injection. Savior,
Yeah.
savior, savior. So there's a campaign with abortion, anti-abortion. The Planned Parenthood makes a lot of money off of abortions. They use the fetal tissue to make these vaccines. So
And
it's a business. It's a business. So yeah, murder sounds really stirring up a lot of emotion there, and then fear. So it's all a technique I think they are using on us to control, really.
programming. It's called
It's
programming.
about guilt also. Look
Yes.
at the centuries
Yeah.
of guilt programming toward women regarding sex. So all of these things have to be removed. We have to remove the guilt, shame, fear surrounding sexuality. We have to, as you said, see it as the sacredness as it is. You're creating a soul tie. Both male and female need to reverence the bodies that they are combining with, that they are connecting to. And we need to realize we're creating an energetic opening for a soul to enter the physical realm. That's what this act does. So if we know that we're not intending to create that opening and that opportunity, then we should make a decision not to engage in that act. Now, in fact, every birth is a very much pre-planned decision by both the mother, the father, and the child. But people change their minds. Just like Mama AZ said, the twins have said, you know, we were going to come here, but they're not ready and we don't want to come in this environment. We change our mind. We're leaving. And when we see stillbirths, miscarriages, all kinds of things, the soul can change their mind. Inside, this is not a good time for me. Sometimes the soul can realize that the mother isn't ready. And so if she makes an abortion, well, that soul can come again through that mother at another time or come through somebody else if they want a specific life experience. So the idea of murder is a mistaken belief that if you don't live inside this body in this one time, you never get another life choice, when in fact you're already an eternal being choosing many different life experiences. As long as we're not allowed to know that, then we're going to use words like murder and use words that create guilt and shame and fear, instead of having a holistic understanding of life and all of the people involved, all of the beings involved, all the souls involved in that choice for that child to come through two people to come through a physical experience.
Well, let's look at the consequences though. There have been millions of Black babies in particular aborted that have caused the results are the Black population has been reduced by all these abortions. And now we're looking at Latino population increasing. And just as President Mr. Biden mentioned not too long ago, he's not looking at giving Black people anything. You better join up with the Latinos and come into one minority group, combined minority. And all of this is a consequence of Black women choosing to abort millions of babies. So Planned Parenthood, Bill Gates, all the eugenics people have done a great job of marketing abortions.
Yes, they
and
have.
the result is now our population is reduced in the Black community. There's war in the Black community. There's all kind of divorce, because we've listened to the wrong voices instead of voices like Patrick that are saying, let's take this serious and let's think about the sacredness of this body and pregnancy and all that. No, we've been listening to the Bill Gates and the Planned Parenthood say, oh, you don't need that baby, get rid of it. And so millions of babies have died, Black babies, and we're now in a situation that the population of dark-skinned people, melanin people is lower. And we're looking at a president or administration that says we don't really care about you now because your numbers are down and the Latinos. This is complicated, but time for us to think about it, making different decisions and choices. That's why we're here, right?
Right.
So I suggest that we follow Patrick's advice and start to teach better planning, better understanding about our sexuality. So all of those souls who intended to come through a couple and have the experience of being part of the dark-skinned population can have choices that they can make of couples who are better prepared to be good parents, and they can come through them, and we can still have that population of dark-skinned people who wanted to have this.
You know what that means, Naima? We all have to be doulas. This is not just for me. If we want to make that change you're talking about, we all need to study how to be a doula. And that's not a difficult thing to do. It's just being more conscious about this journey that women have to bring forth life into this earth. So all of us women are responsible to be doulas on a non-professional or a casual doula. That's what I would say. That's where we have to go.
I have a quick question. Is there a male counterpart to like men who help men who are preparing to father children? Is there a, male counterpart to a doula for men?
I think the doula can do both. It depends on how much training she has or he has. It can be a role. She can be, in fact, the doula's role is to support the family. So it depending on how much training you have, how much education, how much knowledge you gain, you can be the doula for the mother and the father, because that's your role, is to support the woman, and that you want that father to be healthy and happy too. So if you have that mind, you can be a doula for both, and it's all about training and gaining the knowledge to do that.
I am so very glad, Naima, you mentioned the energetic opening. We first had this discussion on Viata's show last Friday in Florida on her health and well-being show. And we talked about, you said the energetic opening, but that Friday we talked about the gateways. And while Viata was on the show talking about the 9 gateways, we were in the background listening and discussing the gateways, and the thought occurred to me. I was like, we didn't mention the most important one, and that's the vagina.
That's the gate.
Because the vagina gate is the gate in which we all come here. So let me go over those gateways again. The eyes, the ears, and the nose. That's 2, 4, 6. I'm sorry. Did I say that? Yeah, two nose. Yeah, eyes, ears, nose, and then the anus and the bladder is 8,
mouth.
And the mouth is 9, and the vagina is 10. So those are 10 portals in our bodies that we need to really be concerned about what we're letting in and what we're sending out. Because most of what we are letting in is programming. So we have to be very mindful, very conscious and aware of the type of programming. The female solution, is the type of programming that we need in order to move from 3D, shift to the new paradigm of 5D. And even though the show is over in less than a minute, if you're on the switchboard, press 1 now. Oh, I see Brother Kwame is with us. So let me open up his line. But before he speaks, I want us to speak on, I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
The gateways, openings.
Those gateways, that
programming.
Yeah, the programming. This is the type of programming that we want, that we need, that we deserve, because the programming that they're giving us, people always say, "Oh, you talking about, you just, you're always up here in cloud 9." It's like, no, baby. I worked in radio for 30-something years. I know there's a whole department they devoted a whole department, 5, 10, 20 people who sit down. That is their daily responsibility, to program the music that you're listening to. Why do you think you heard R. Kelly's music 30 times a day when a song is only supposed to be in rotation once an hour? Why do you think you still heard the commercial that says you can have it your way? Because when you turn on TV and you want a hamburger, it's like, Why do I want a hamburger? And I don't even like hamburgers. You have to think about those kinds of things. That programming was designed to keep you in a state of fear that you are currently in, and as some people say, wearing a facial diaper. And that is not to make fun of people who are afraid, because Viata has taught me, being on this female solution has taught me not to be judgmental, but to be understanding, to be overstanding of what's going on in their lives, how they are receiving the programming and keeping that with them in their spirit, so they live in fear.
And I think Kwame would add understanding, because
Understanding.
the kingdom it's more important that we understand the kingdom within these days, with all the programming about a damn virus that's already in here. So yeah, understanding, overstanding, and understanding, and understanding. Yeah, all three.
Yes, sir. And let's open up the line to our elder Baba Kwame Sunhorse from Georgia. Grand Rising. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir. Your line is open.
Grand Rising. And Assalamu alaikum to my sister Naima and to Viata. Grand Rising, Mame.
Salam.
It's kind of late.
But always right on time.
And Mary Shelton is here
Mary
too.
Shelton.
Don't forget
Mary
and
Shelton
the doggy
from North Carolina.
She didn't introduce the doggy.
My battery is going down. I'm gonna have to switch over.
Okay. Well, the show is over. We're in the after show now. So let us thank Mary Shelton from North Carolina for joining us this morning with sign language.
Thank
And
you.
I'll be getting that book, Silence Isn't Golden, today. I gotta start it today. Yes.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. You're welcome, ladies. Love you.
We'll
so
see you
much.
next time.
I'll
Love
be
you
on
too.
Clubhouse.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Namaste. Hotep. Shalom. Okay, Brother Kwame.
No, and I apologize, Mary, because I didn't hear the show. I got up late last night. But anyway.
She was doing sign language, so you wouldn't heard that anyway.
She was doing sign language.
When you were talking about the portal,
and
you were saying that there are 10 portals, and the part is what the other saying, the inner standing. It's because we are what's over us. The body, human, is the body of the planetary solar system, because there are 9 planets, and Earth is the 10th one, and we are the 10th planet. And we got to begin to understand that each one of those planets has an effect, just as each constellation has an effect, as Aries is the head, Pisces is the feet, and all of the other planets, the other 10 planets, other constellations, zodiac constellations, are our human body. And what we're seeing is how this body works, because I just sent you the piece that's saying that the people of color, our children, right now, are the major population of these total islands. And so what they're knowing is that we're talking about climate control. The control of the climate of wealth is what they're talking about. Nature and her ability to control what goes on the planet is, it's affected by man, but she can control more so. She can control what's going on the planet, not man. And so what we're seeing is they use this false narrative in saying this is because the consumption of energy that each human being has is majority people of color. And this is what they're attempting to eliminate by population control, by using abortion and the methodology of getting rid of as many people of color before they even grow into the womb. And so this is the methodology of eugenics, in being able to make them still see that they're the super race, as Hitler was attempting to do, in making them a special race, blonde hair, blue eyes. These are the tactics that they're using, but they use other methodologies like a virus, like,
drugs and alcohol. And those things are there to create that depopulation that they're looking at doing, because they can't just come straight out and, well, they do it. But now we have ways of seeing how they murder us, because, that strange fruit now has been picked off that popular tree.
Mm. The strange fruit that he refers to is from the Billie Holiday story. If you have not seen that, do yourself a favor. We are the strange fruit, and we are hanging by a string because we are allowing ourselves to be controlled.
And if we listen to that song, she sang the song, but it was written by a gentleman there in New York, a poet. And what he had done is he saw a picture of a lynching, and he wrote this poem, and he presented it to her to sing as a song, and that's how it got to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is why the government, and even to today, in that Borough Cemetery is the body of Emmett Till. And what they were looking at attempting in 2020 to pass the bill on lynching, and they still have not passed a bill because they are not yet done with hanging us or killing us.
1937, that bill was put before the Senate in 1937. Here it is, 2021, and that bill still has not been passed. And what are we doing about it?
It just goes to show you how dysfunctional this government is and has been, and we can't depend on our government. That's the overground railroad we were talking about last night. It's about gathering communities together locally to do what needs to be done. We can't depend on our government. When I look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now, it just saddens me. I try not to pay any attention to what's going on there, because they're spending all this money. They're putting us further in debt. And hopefully the universe will balance all this BS out one day, because otherwise they're just too dysfunctional in Washington. We can't trust them, depend on them, nothing. Give me my Social Security every month and I'll be done with it. And then send me my little 12 or whatever checks you want. I'll take it. But I'm not depending or looking to them to do anything for me. I'm working we have to work in the communities we live in more than looking for the government to do anything.
I like to throw this thought out there. I like to throw out this thought. We know that there are a lot of lives that have transitioned. We know that there have been a lot of pregnancies that have been terminated. We know that there are a lot of people who have transitioned as a result of their lives being taken in acts of violence. So we can look at our population and say there are people who are no longer here because they were removed, their bodies were destroyed. But the souls that represent those people still exist and still have an opportunity to come into the earth realm every time someone engages in sex. So those souls that want to have the earth experience can still return and repopulate. What we have to do is prepare those who are of child producing and childbearing age to be ready to raise a child in the right attitude and atmosphere, so that they can be empowered to create the kind of life we want to live. We're not at the mercy of the government or anybody else. All of us have the power to make decisions. What we have to do is prepare those who are going to be the gateway for those coming through to be better parents and shaping them with the understanding that they need to take control of their circumstances, get the knowledge that they need to feed, house, clothe themselves, create whatever kind of system of exchange they want to honor. That can be this monetary system or another one. They have the power to do that. We have to give them that thought so that they're prepared So those who are going to be the gateway for the souls who are not here now can come back through and have a better experience and create a better world. That's the power that we have. So that gateway, that 10th gateway, that's the most powerful gateway. And of course, as you hear on the commercials, often we say 50 years from now, the earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn. Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection so they can create a world where people will live together in peace. This is our goal. So as Beata said, all of us can be the doulas that are preparing the young women who have that gateway for all the souls that are coming back to this earth experience. And we can prepare them with better understanding of that sex act that is opening the gateway. Because
and you know, Naima,
make a difference.
And part of the preparation is teaching our children about sacred energy exchange. You said that once a person has sex, that starts the process of bringing in this new life in the womb. But we're now moving into a fifth dimension, fifth dimension, where it can't be sex as usual. Because if we're going to line up with this new frequency, the new frequency says our time intimacy with our partner has to be more sacred. Because if you're jumping in bed with people just to have some pleasure, that's going to put you off balance spiritually, energetically, and all that. Because sacred energy exchange is about coming into a sex act consciously, knowing that this is sacred, that these two people are coming together is not just a physical act, but it's a spiritual and mental act that we need to respect. And that's what we got to teach our children now, is the sacredness of coming together to start the process of a new life. And that's exciting to me because I didn't learn that when I was growing up.
No.
So I have an opportunity to teach my grandchildren something totally new about how to produce a new life. And I got a male and a female, so this is going to be really interesting. Sit them down and teach them about the new sex versus the old, which will create a higher frequency in the babies, I think, that come forth when these two people are consciously aware of the need to look at this act more sacred and more important than we did as children or young people.
And get rid of the guilt, shame, fear energy that exists, because that is what is bringing into us people who keep creating the same kinds of activities, because they're more into the vibration of guilt, shame, and fear. So when we change the thinking of those who are about to be the gateway through which souls are coming, then we'll change the kind of people that come here. We'll change the experience that they bring with us, with them when they come here. We'll change what we see manifesting on the earth. So the most powerful thing we can do is to encourage people to have sex, conscious sex.
And then our role as a doula is to remind them of the sacredness in those 9 months that will reduce the mental problems, the physical problems, because in utero is where the health problems start, where the mental problems start. The emotions of mom and dad influence that baby's growth for 9 months. So if we can really teach about the sacredness of that 9-month period, we're going to have some women producing some awesome beings versus what we've been seeing lately with all the problems that children have, even coming out of the womb with rashes and all that. So yeah, it's a consciousness movement from 3rd to 4th to 5th dimension, is being more aware of how sacred everything is. Everything is sacred.
Yes.
Right. But could I, and the male part of that, and I'm wholeheartedly 100% with what we all are sharing. The part is that in us going into this fifth dimension, this world, we're looking at the frequency of these children that are now children of color on this turtle island and on this planet. And the thing is, they're being able to recreate is the wealth in which the people on the continent says is that when a girl has a thought of a baby, that's when a person is born. And what we have to do is, like you say, is how they think of themselves, because the wealth
love is the most powerful part of what we can give our children, and being able to give them that part and give them the understanding of what it is that you're doing when you have a spiritual energy exchange. Because, like Naima was saying about the souls coming, but the souls that are still here about the land of this planet, they still have it, because that's why I said in Oasis, our ancestor spirit in service, our ancestor spirits are still here on this earth. They're just in another dimensional, because even when the book, The 10th Insight, it talks about when you come with those ancestors and your spiritual helpers, all come to the planet with you to be assistance to you.
Wow.
The says that how many hands do you have? And most people will say, well, I got 2. No, you have 10, because you have your father's mother and father, you have your mother's mother and father surrounding you as you walk through life. And we have to be able to know how to tune into those frequencies and tap into that cosmic bank, because we have a bank, and that woman is the sacred gateway of what we deposit to bring forth the wealth of life.
How?
I got a question. Where can men go to hear that kind of philosophy about sexuality?
Great question.
That has to come from the elder man and the wisdom keepers that has been passed down. Because as men, we have to stop being generational, and we have to begin to young boys. Give you a great example. Tawanda Kasuku, who lives right there in Chicago, gave an example. He says his son was getting ready to go out on a date, but he had taken them to the bank, and they had their little bank books. And when he got ready these boys were getting ready to go out on the date, he was sitting there with the bank books and says, if you go out here and you mess up a girl's life, these bank books go to that child that's inside what you do to her.
Wow.
It's already telling that young man that if you go out here and go violate a sacred, you're going to have to pay for this. And I'm thinking what you deposit in your bank account will go to that girl to be able to take care of that child, and you will take care of that child. We have to train, because the 3 P's of a man is to provide, protect, and to possess. And being able to teach that to young men, to know that you have to be able to know that when you choose that person to have that spiritual energy exchange, it's about the highest form of what 2 people can come together to do. And are you going to commit to that if that happens?
Well, we know when we listen to the men having the discussions, all of them, every last one of them basically said that the way they were raised by the men in their environment was to go and try to get sex from a girl.
So their oats was the correct word.
So there was no vision of partnership, planning, organizing our lives, planning our income, a lifelong partner that I can commit to. There was no teaching of that. There was no vision of what that act represented. That the wisdom was not there. And all of them had to more or less go through a trial and error period. Even one of the brothers, I think it was Brother Kareem, said, okay, well, I got a girl pregnant, so I was supposed to marry her. But that's like making a decision on the back end. And that really wasn't the one you wanted to be with. So it still ended in divorce because they were not prepared to be spouses or parents. So,
which is okay. That's okay.
But how do we consciously, because we're talking about conscious creation, conscious preparation of those who are going to be the means whereby these souls come to this earth and begin to create the new earth we want to live in. That means they have to come through a gateway that has been prepared, and both the male and the female have to be conscious that this is the plan. This is the global plan for those who are of child producing and child bearing age, so that we can see a new spirit coming to the earth that's going to change what we have today. So the understanding that that act is not just that, few minutes of pleasure and the feeling like, oh, I conquered it, I got that, or even the girlfriend like, oh, someone loves me, I had sex, all that's great. But what you've opened the gate for the soul to stand at the door waiting to come in. And what are you going to do with that soul? Are you going to have to send them back because you weren't ready? Or are you going to keep them but then struggle with it and argue and go to court and everything and have them view life as a struggle and see themselves as a victim? What are you doing? How do we get them to start planning at puberty on what that act is going to look like, because their soul's waiting at the door to come through that gate and come to this earth and have that earth experience? How do we help them understand that what they're doing is greater than just those minutes? It's a whole plan of
what you and what you're saying is adolescence, puberty, adolescence, because that stage of coming from that second seven that child comes through is the young girl at 7 and the young man at 7. Their bodies are now in preparation going into puberty or adolescence. That's why it's called adolescence. What are going to be the things that you can be able to do with that body now that your body is changing and able to reproduce? What are the lessons that you need to know with what you're feeling in your body when you have these desires or these things that come about in you, and what to do with it? How many men have been taught how to ejaculate and not ejaculate? And understanding that whole concept of being able to know how to control the energy. It's the same thing, and they can grow rich. Napoleon Hill says you take your sexual desire and you use it as a creative force to make whatever it is you want to create with a greater energy. It's knowing how to take that energy, because it's life force. It's life force. And if you take it and you can create more than a child with life force. This is why some of the great artists and people do is about them using that life force, that love energy, and taking it and creating something from the unknown to the known. And understanding, and this is where we're moving from the Homo sapiens to the Homo spiritus. It's because we've got to understand the spirit that we are and how that we're going to resonate with this higher frequency in a crystalline body.
And at 7 years old, at 7 years old, they're adding the lessons of the first 7 years, because the scholars and Jesuits and all those say the first 7 years are the most important years of your life to program you what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. So add a lesson. They're adding all 7 years lessons to their independence, the more independence they're having, their independent walk. All that is being added from 7 years. So that's why the first 7 years we got to be on the case, training and guiding these children on what is important. Even sex education, in my opinion, on some level, they need to know about body parts and all that before they reach 7, so that they can add all those wise words, teachings for the rest of their life for after 7.
And please mention to me, to our listening audience, viewing audience, the conversation we had about Dr. Northrop, I think it was, about teaching children sex education. Share that with our audience if you would, Viata.
Well, Dr. Christiane Northrop is an OBGYN, and she said at one point she wanted to teach female reproductive lessons to her child's, I think it was elementary school or high school, middle school, I forget which level. She was offering to teach female OBGYN wisdom to her child's class, and they denied her that, but they were teaching boys how to have sex with other boys. That's what she shared. It's like, what? So she said that's kind of the day we live in, that what's right is wrong and wrong. Everything's been flipped, and there's an aversion going on right now where everything is upside down, and we are learning things that we needed to teach years ago. Okay, so we're behind schedule here. So, but that's the reality. They're more important. They're more concerned about LGBTQ benefits and lessons rather than regular female male energy production and all that. So that's kind of where we are.
Well, what you're saying is a birth control, because if a man thinks that he's a woman, or he thinks he has to go into the anal and deal with his sexuality with another man, that is birth control. Because even you look at the prison industrial complex, the age of the men that are the million of men that are in the prison are in the reproduction stage of life.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why they came up with the bill saying 5 to 10 years, because if you send a man in at 18 and you give him 10 years, he's coming out at 28. That's the height of reproduction, and these are the ways in which they learn to control the way in which we reproduce ourselves as a human, as a people on this planet, by eliminating as much contact as we can with it. Because once upon a time, when we were breeders and we were a labor force to make their wealth, they were making sure that they had breeding farms and reproducing and making, because I remember movies saying, we can start breeding them, and when that child comes out, when it takes its first breath, it's worth $300, because they knew the worth of who we are to them, and we are a resource to them, because in any basis of economics, the first two things you need is land and labor. And if you have the labor in which you're going to create the wealth that you want to control others who labor for you to give you your wealth, you have a system that we've been living in since this whole concept of this U.S. of A come together.
Mm. Mm.
And one of the things why I learned this when I was researching about Tuskegee Tuskegee experiment. One of the reasons gay men were being diagnosed with AIDS more than others, because sperm in the lower intestines causes a reduction in the immune system. The acidity of the sperm is meant to control certain elements of the immune system when it enters the woman's vagina, to help the sperm get through without being attacked as a foreign element. That sperm actually contains substances that reduce the immune system's attack on the sperm. So when they're doing anal sex, it was causing immune system problems by having that going in the wrong hole, on the wrong gateway. So that's why a lot of men develop AIDS. Partly they were taking drugs to relax the muscles in that area, for one. All those drugs, you can name them. Plus the sperm going in the wrong gateway, all contributed to a lower immune system, which contributed to the AIDS epidemic in gay men. So there's so much to I bet they're not teaching that in school.
Oh no.
So that's our responsibility to let people know how that works. That's our job, to let them know, okay, you want to take that route, let me tell you a few things about your consequences.
Well, I think the most powerful thing we can do with the massive prison population that exists is use that as a university. Go in and teach all of the things that we know would make them come out with wisdom, with the intention to prepare to take control of their lives once they are released from that institution. That's the most powerful thing we can do. What you just said about the sexuality and everything else, so that, and they have time. They're doing time. So if the state wants to pay for their room and board, then we can go in and teach and produce scholars and men and women who are ready to take control of their lives and produce lives, and they can come out with a purpose. And we do need to deal with some spiritual healing while they're in that very difficult environment where the intention is to destroy them. But we have to come with a higher vibration, a higher purpose, higher knowledge, and we can transform those prisons into the best universities a human being can come through. We can do that, and that's the power that we have.
And that might be a job for men who come out of prison to do, to go
And
back in there and teach them, because they can have empathy and they can really identify the brothers in there. That's their new job. They come out, they can't find a job. Okay, you need to set up a ministry to go back in there and teach the men you just left about all the things we're sharing with you.
Absolutely. So I think that is a goal that is obtainable, and we can see the transformation in our lifetime. We just put our focus on doing that and realizing that people who've made decisions that cause them to end up in prison, they're just like we are. They're not, monsters or bad people. They're people who were following the information that they had received and accepted and believed, and so they could act no other way. But we can give them different information and change who they become.
Right. You
And
gotta work it out.
is there training for doers for men?
Oh,
He said there was for family. That is a question right there that's been answered, because for those men who learn to be trained and go in and teach what it is for a male to work with reproduction and how to control the energies in which he has, and giving him a way in which to see how to use that energy to be productive and not producing something that is going to come into the world that's going to have to be cared for that he can't care for because he's been already ostracized by being labeled a felon. This whole system is created, and what we have to understand is how this system is set up in order to create failure. And so what we're having to do is to educate the man how not to get caught up in the system, or if you are in the system, what do you do to change it? Because, okay, yeah, you now a felon and you label, and what you can still do is you still are able to produce and provide for if you decide to. I have a young man I'm working with in Louisiana, and he just did 13 years and he's coming out of prison, and the first thing he wanted to do was to marry this first young woman that said she loved him and he loved her. And I said, no, bro, you can't do that yet, because you've got to undo 13 years of your life and being away from society and being in an environment that's totally different from when you went in and when you came out. And you have to regroup yourself and be able to see how you even can provide for yourself. And so he's on a good road, and now he's working, and he's trying to work towards getting a car. And I told him, if she loves you, she'll wait until you get yourself together. So you'll be able to provide for her instead of her thinking that she's got to take care of you. No, that in its heart is not a weak situation.
And that's so common. You have so many men who've been broken by the penal system. They come out and they're forever living off of one woman or another because they never were able to repair that which was damaged inside of them. And they have a society that stigmatizes them. So unless they have a support system of people that are ready to help them go into business where they can be independent, nobody can decide, well, you can't work because you had a felon. They can create their own job by creating their own business. Unless they have a network of people that are willing to help them with that, then they end up taking that route of finding some woman they can just live off of. And then if she gets mad enough, then she'll put them out, and then they find somebody else. And it becomes an ongoing cycle, basically repeating what was created on the slave plantation with the slave studs, going from cabin to cabin, but never really having a home.
And on that note, I got to say this because she mentioned about slave. Hold on for a minute, Kwame. When you talked about slave, I have got to mention this woman's name. Cathay Williams was born September 1844, 1893. She was an African-American soldier who enlisted in the U.S. Army under the name William Cathay. She was the first Black woman to enlist and the only documented woman to serve in the U.S. Army, posing as a man during the American Indian War. Talk about women's her story.
Wow.
Story. You have got to look this up. Let me put it under so you can see it. Cathay Williams. She changed her name to William Cathay so that she could no longer be a slave. She could be free.
And you can go to my Soul Purpose Healing Blog Talk Radio show for last Friday, March 12th, to see my guest who was dressed as Cathay Williams. She was dressed in a full uniform, and she and her husband have a ministry in Arizona that features Cathay Williams and the Buffalo Soldiers.
Wow.
Oh, and what show was that?
That was Friday evening on Soul Purpose Healing. I did a special show with Mama AZ and Melanie, I think is her first name.
Is that on Blog Talk or Facebook?
Blog Talk Radio. It's on Facebook and Blog Talk, either one. You can go to Soul Purpose Healing, Blog Talk Radio, or go to Facebook Soul Purpose Healing.
Gotcha.
Either one.
Okay.
To see her in uniform as Cathay Williams.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead, Brother Kwame. I'm putting the information in here now.
Yeah, and that's an excellent piece. But the other part, what we're talking about, in the men coming out and doing that with women, before the man, usually most of the men that goes into the prison system didn't have a father with them in their life.
Right.
The mother was their provider. And they began to go out into the world and figure out, well, I can provide for myself and I can do this or do that. And so you look at this cycle of the absence of the male energy in the home and able to guide that young boy into manhood to keep him from going into that system. But this system has been designed because you have now, in Chicago, they have what they call $1 million zip codes. $1 million zip codes because they know in that zip code there are enough felons in there and people in the prison that they have enough $1 million worth of assets that are human beings that are in their system.
Wow, that's good information.
Yeah, places like Inglewood, it's constantly used to funnel bodies into the prison system, keeping people in a state of poverty so that their choices are limited. So that's why we have to think our way out of this. We have to see the power that we have simply by choosing to gain the knowledge it takes to be able to create the things we need to sustain ourselves and form partnerships based on these shared goals. But if you're wounded on the inside, you can't be a good life partner to somebody else until you fix what's broken inside of you, whether it's a feeling of unworthiness, feeling of that you're not smart enough, not pretty enough, feeling that other people are more important than you, or just feeling incompetent to be able to learn and strive and achieve. If we don't love ourselves, we can't love another person because we're doing things that are damaging to ourselves. And that's usually what causes a person to get on that road to self-destruction, which ends them up in a prison system. So people who are there, you have to look at what was it that caused me to take the road I took that landed me in this prison. And even if I develop myself and get out, if I don't correct that thing inside of me, I'm going to end up right back where I was. So while they're there is the time to work on everything, mind, body, spirit, healing, help, restoration, and preparation for when they're released and they're ready to re-enter the population and be conscious creators of the life they want to live. And that's male and female. So we have a lot of work to do. And as the suggestion that those who have had the experience would be best even able to empathize and sympathize and create programs to help those in that transformation when they are released, and even go inside and help them in the preparation process while they're in there. And we have to do it with the realization that the administration isn't necessarily trying to help those that are in there because it is a business. So it's almost like being an undercover agent where you have to do the work and preparing the people that are going to come out. Just like Nelson Mandela came out of prison and ran the government. We have to create that kind of a being where you're in there, but you're preparing to come out for leadership. You're preparing to come out for productivity. You're preparing to come out and create families and raise children who are going to be empowered to control the community that you live. And that's the goal, that's the plan, and that's the vision we need to give those people that are there so they can come out and make a change.
Amen.
And you're perfectly correct, because I'm a recovery coach, and a part of Well Brian, which is an indigenous out of Colorado, they formulated by Don Coyer. He formulated a recovery program for people coming out of the institution and out of substance abuse rehab. And he went into the prison to begin the program and teaching men and teaching women. And there's an excellent thing in which Dr. Fukia did in the Massachusetts prison system, where he took 15 men, and even with his program of rites of passage teaching to black men there in the prison system, he in turn formulated to where the guards were even quitting once they had to sit in his class and hear what he taught.
Wow.
Wow.
Because he taught in a way that there was no recidivism. And they're not wanting to happen, because we have a recovery coach in Well Briety has to learn to do the things that's going into the prison and being able to prepare that man to get ready to come out and have something in place when he comes out. Because when they come out of there, like you said, that most places now, that if their mother lived in Section 8, they created laws saying you can't live in anybody that we taking care of. The same cycle of ABC and the check coming, saying that if your man comes out of prison, he can't live in your house. And he's taking the father of those children. But what we have to do is being in place, and we have these programs. And now what we do is implement them and creating the oasis, the spaces where we can come and begin to show that man is that you have a lot of abandoned houses and people flipping houses. You get the men that know how to do the trade and take that young man coming out and teach him a trade to build a building where they can be housed in and have the people there working with them to teach them a skill. Because once you teach them that skill, then they have the ability to be able to work and make more places and spaces for others to come and live in once they come out of it. Because the whole system started in Philadelphia. It was called, they used to be called penitentiary. Because the Quakers started it in on Walnut Street Jail, was the first penitentiary in the United States. And it was because that when you committed a crime, they gave you a candle and a Bible, and you had to do penance. The same thing that happened in the SHU is Marion Prison right there in Illinois. When they had the lockdown, they made it to where they lock you away for 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that was called special housing unit. These are the things that have been designed. And we have to understand when they attempt to do this, we got to counter that.
Right. You have to counter. Just like chess, move, counter move. With a strategy in mind to ultimately win the game. But that's what it is. So we have to plan our counter moves for everything that has been done.
They have a strategy, and we must have a strategy as well. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
In the words of
it's playing, it's the game of chess.
Yes.
The thing is that how long, and the most important piece on the chessboard is the queen.
That's
right now. And on that note, these queens must depart, because this queen has a doctor's appointment this morning, and I need to keep my checkups on the from the neck up. And the neck down too. So I want to thank all of our viewers and our listeners and our guests, as well as Baba Kwame Sunhorse, who always brings it home. Thank us so very much, Naima Latif, Executive Director, and our doula, our very own doula, who informed us that men are doulas too. Had no idea.
Now we know.
So thank you so much for that experience this morning, and thank you for the experience that we've had this past month. My journey with the trees. I do not want to be here where I am today, but I'm gonna love myself right through it anyway. There's gonna be some sun, and there is no sun here today, but there is some breath, and I have breath, so there is hope.
Absolutely.
Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned tomorrow morning for self-care with Jody Susan, and the rest of the weeks from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the Female Solution. As my sister would say, can I play that outgoing message? So will I be able to do that, Naima?
And just hit play.
So that we can practice our goodbyes.
Our thank yous.
Our thank yous. Until later.
Hallelujah.
We've come to the end of our show today, but you can hear every show in the archive.
How you learn a hip roll? All right. Come on, Viata. That's the How You Learn a Hip Roll.
On the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/thefemale.
Let's get with her.
Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website.
There we go. I'm still mixed up. Okay.
Yeah, it's like you're opposite when we go. It doesn't matter. You're going the opposite direction.
There you go.
You're backwards.
Radio. Order our book and be sure to get your copy of the book.
There we go.
On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I like.
And you know it's going opposite from on my end. You're going the opposite direction, but it's okay.
Family listening.
We're good.
All around the world.
All three of us. We're good.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
And our family in China, India, Zanzibar,
Arigato. Kamsahamnida. Pasiva. Danke. Jankuya. Merci. Gracias. Shukran. Madasi. Niabonga. Garet. Asante. Toda. Shukriya. Tashakur. Shukra. Assalamu alaikum.
And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessing.
Have a great day, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom.
And join us tomorrow on the Female Solution, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central. And we'll be on live on the Female Solution Facebook page. So be sure to tune in. See you then.